Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. This is a series that consists of spewing out assorted thoughts which arose from somebody who thinks too much, taking in, and generally loving entertainment media by the boatload. These tidbits may be mini theories, observations, or simply jokes. Hopefully people will find them entertaining or at least interesting, and who knows, maybe they'll inspire others to look at what amuses them in different ways than before. Also bear in mind that everything blabbed about in these videos are from the perspective of somebody who's experienced every main story bit connected with whatever works currently being gone over. So spoilers are a definite. However, other works set in a shared continuity will typically solely be referenced in a way that only makes sense to anybody who's also fully experienced those ones up until their same time occurring points. Sort of a coded nod kind of deal. So, while things will be more fun for viewers who indulge with an entire universe's works, nobody who has yet to do so will get non-experienced events spoiled. Now, with all of that out of the way, here we go. The likely reason for this version containing much more Mario Mission typical trappings, such as scorekeeping and mass murder-induced one-up-obtaining, is because Team Mushroom's magical muscles bulked up enough to make their subcon situation slightly less bizarre. Those extra-large enemies probably became a thing because Team Mushroom would have nightmares about Giant Land from SMB 3, while their tinier opposition experienced the pleasant equivalent of such. In a similar vein, all those Koopalist shells are also supersized because their would-be owners would desire much better hiding spots, while those they wish to conceal themselves from want to smash many more horizontally laid bricks at once. Those weird face blobs that lift up hills in Worlds 1-1 and 1-3, which are apparently called elevator platforms, likely came about because those few enemies that could be pulled up from the ground during prior subcon adventures wanted a flashy defense mechanism, much like certain plumbers and friends often have. There are many more hearts lying around this time, including ones near bosses and others growing as mutant turnip abominations. This is probably because the heroes wanted an easier time with difficult to avoid obstacles like Mauser's bomb onslaughts, while their enemies desired for them to feel so comfortable that they'd experience gruesome trap-related death much more often as a result of carelessness. Those cobra snakes just love watching toads choke on sand. These new slot machines provide the option of placing larger bets because everybody got incredibly sick of playing multiple times just so they could use up all those coin stockpiles. 7 reels are a thing this time around. This is probably because Luigi was planning on opening a casino relatively soon, and he found out that this was normal for slot machines during his research. Everybody, players and bosses alike, talks a lot now. This is likely due to all of them feeling much more relaxed with each other after experiencing the subcon crisis twice over already. The red ace coin's presence is probably caused by a recurring dream Peach had of them being on her normal castle grounds like their golden counterparts, as opposed to just being stuck inside those worlds accessible from her favorite paintings. She'd of course be quite intrigued by the parts of Mario's adventures in those places that involve things never encountered in normal mushroom reality before. Mario and co start off small this time around. This is likely because they and their enemies both strongly wanted this, albeit for different reasons, of course. The heroes had become so comfortable performing their dreamy saving duties that they wanted a challenge, while their enemies, specifically those higher-ups like Wart and his generals, just wanted them all to die quickly. Sparks now emit a more powerful shock that causes knockback and blurry vision. Obviously, practically nobody would dream of less potent electrical power, and increased risk of injury is just an unfortunate side effect when the opposite comes about. There are now fancy contraptions and colors within the vases. This is likely because everybody started noticing how nice they looked the first 2 times around, and subsequently started imagining them more as furniture as opposed to traps or obstacles. These positive feelings are also what caused those smiley face-shaped platform arrangements to happen in some bases, while their frown counterparts are generated by the realization that such decorations are rather fragile and can create quite a mess when knocked over. Every boss seems to sound at least somewhat like one of the heroes. Mario and co probably imagined their dream foes talking in voices they recognized whenever recalling what happened in subcon. The bombs don't blow each other up because of course there would be some warehouse workers fervently longing for a situation in which hazardous materials could only perform their intended function and never cause horrifying accidents. The bosses are mostly much stronger variants of minions. This could be because that's what all those Bowser-disguised folks in SMB1 and Lost Levels would have preferred over just masquerading as their leader. Everybody performs a backflip when doing that flashing charge jump now. It seems likely that they all decided to really mess around with those wacky Dreamworld physics, so their third round of subcon shenanigans would be a bit more fun. Stars appear when collecting 5 bundles of cherries. This may be the result of Team Mushroom recently learning of their association with Christmas in Southern Hemisphere located countries after completing a visit-prompted study of such places following Lost Levels and Portion. That would obviously remind them of what typically goes atop a Christmas tree, hence the Pac-Man-esque invincibility tool generation. The magic potion doors can be entered in strange manners because merely knowing that crouching and going through half of them is possible enables such usage. The crystal balls that allow entry into levels may be globes which contain each subcon sector in its own little dimensional containment cell. Super Mario Advance's geography probably features occasional variant from what Subcon was like before, because that blue toad from the first go-around got nauseous on his way down World 1-1's freefall entrance and has been insanely uncomfortable with great heights ever since. The remaining original Team Mushroom members have spent much time longing for their comrade's return since his post-First Dream adventure departure, but these feelings were unfortunately never strong enough to completely counter any nefarious neuron network nestled nature-nudged nemesis neutralization nostalgia. Those big ball-bodied, full-face featuring Spark Chaser deals are likely something else dreamed up by those wonderful workplace wellness wishful wage warriors that stop bomb stockpiles from forming failure fireworks. The green and red Birdo variations that spew differing levels of fire were probably created from her double dreaming desires that came up whenever she got knocked out in Subcon by Team Mushroom. That try again option could very well just be an advanced form of magical lucid dreaming that's been perfected after 2 Subcon runs. Merely running around the place period would of course be its basic version. Utilizing that supremely sharpened sleepy spell slinging renders one devoid of their typical tallness. This may just be caused by magical muscle memory ingrained into everybody over repeated use of green mushroom safety teleportation spells, making pipeless whopper weight warping too difficult a task. Stars can appear in subspace because of course there would be creatures who constantly dream about the small sun strength supplied sparkly speedsters being cordoned off from everybody else. Try Again's lack of a new character choice could come down to the fact that no Team Mushroom member would ever think about putting an ally in harm's way. Panto guarding the keys, and supposedly other valuables as well, may stem from people wanting to protect what they hold dear from brigands, while simultaneously being incredibly worried that some folks they know would judge them for what their most treasured life bits are. Bowser and his band of merry minions might not have a subcon presence beyond those Koopa shells lying about, because they expended too much magical power during the first 2 games. Thus, Dream Dimension development isn't so much an option for them. Bases that can't be entered before magic potion utilization occurs likely generate subspace portals because their ludicrous amounts of transmutable materials cause a mystical overload which distorts reality even further. In subspace, red coins may turn into giant vegetables which immediately fall down and crumble upon forming, hence why they can't be collected in that place. Birdo's ribbon can be thrown in advance, but it's not capable of harming her. This is likely because while all the heroes wanted more stuff to throw this third go-around, Miss Eggmouth desires for nothing more than her precious accessories to be mere unrivaled pleasant sights. Giant POW blocks are probably capable of bouncing because Mario and Luigi started to associate things with red tops and bottoms solely with those spring deals after seeing so many in their prior journeys. They would have thought much of this newfound color shape association and how it felt oddly familiar. Their subconscious minds would then search for why they held so much nostalgia for such a thing, and then subsequently merged buried memories of destroying angry crabs with ones about handily jumping over distraught turtles, creating this bouncy quake-making abomination. Birdo knows that somebody is around even when they are way above and behind her. It's likely that she has a fantastic sense of smell. POW blocks are affected when traveling into subspace, and their activated power carries over between dimensions as well. That first bit is probably because it's just the direction of vibration being switched between dimensions. In either case, the rate of movement is intense enough that quake-like effects are generated, hence there being no performance-related changes. The other deal is likely because a POW block's supernatural shaking is so strong that it influences atoms oscillating at multiple frequencies, thus carrying over from one reality to another. The endless enemy exiting exhibited by particular pretty pots probably popped up because both sides want more allies and nobody desires any species getting wiped out. No Team Mushroom clones get generated because Red Toad doesn't want to get replaced like his blue predecessor. Roberto may be the result of Birdo hearing about Bowser's Koopa Clown Car and really wanting to take that idea up a notch. The giant eggs Roberto spits are likely real, as original recipe Birdo would have no reason to dream up artificial ones. Red Ace coins probably get replaced by hearts after being collected because the adventures Mario & Co. experienced between their last Subcon trip and this one made them associate any Crimson currency with getting a little extra help. Only a small number of coins can be held in this game no matter the version. This is likely because there's not enough magical power available in Subcon to create physics-defying storage large enough for 100 of them. Creating a subspace probably transmutes vegetables into coins because money is what everybody from the Mushroom Kingdom normally finds scattered randomly across places. Bombs and other enemies show up instead of vegetables at times because many Mushroom World citizens harbor dreams about those they lost rising from the grave, just like many in real life. The explosive foes are particularly plant-placed plentiful because some have landmine nightmares on top of everything else. There are likely extra bases in Super Mario Advance because everybody started dreaming about owning the things as regular furniture after journeying through Subcon twice. In other words, Team Mushroom fell prey to mystical advertising. It looks like Birdo can't stand the cold. Even her fire-breathing variant is located within a cave during the Ice World. The bubble-trapped item deals that occasionally show up in Advance probably came about because after 3 in World, everybody wanted some kind of item storage for each journey they took, but didn't have enough magical might to truly create a version for Subcon. Everybody but Peach stands on one foot in Advance. This is likely because they all started dreaming of having far greater balance after dealing with so many ice worlds during their more recent adventures. Peach doesn't do so simply because she's wearing heels. Waterfall logs probably disappear in subspace because they get turned into coins just like their living plant counterparts. After their transformation, they simply sink too fast and deep to be noticed. Those icy spike bounty house deals inside later vases likely arose from nightmares about sliding around wintry worlds, combining with ones focused upon cannons. Drilling spikes are probably generated by Team Mushroom's desire to have an easy escape from underground areas, combining with their enemies' fantasies about gruesome hero deaths. Superstars are bigger in Advance. This may be because everyone got fed up with not being able to grab one so easily during their previous Subcon trips. Even the enemies fall under this category, as they'd much prefer dying via absolutely armored, absurd, accelerated acrobat assaults over experiencing terrible, potentially cardiac arrest-inducing stress while thinking about whether or not that will happen. That crab boss likely behaves as a stereotypical fictional pirate would, because at least one Team Mushroom member fantasizes about getting either more sea life costume involving power-ups and or swashbuckling related ones. Bosses probably have crazy multicolored rooms because Peach and the Toads spend lots of time focusing on making cheery interior design changes anytime they reclaim Bowser's stolen fortresses. The cycling through everything item capsules, in a situation similar to their more definite bubbly counterparts, are likely generated by not quite strong enough magical longing focused upon other journey encountered bonus games. Boss room shortcuts were probably dreamed up by the workers who fixed all those reclaimed fortresses after they got really annoyed traversing all those death traps to reach some more important rooms that needed restoration first. A door to subspace still maintains its location upon the floor below getting destroyed because terrain still exists in a certain extra otherworldly place. World 6-3 contained yellow vines instead of green ones. This is likely because Luigi secretly longed for vines that his clothes wouldn't blend into, since he was terrified one of those shrub rope loving bugs might get way too comfortable with him if they didn't realize he was a human. Nobody can catch the rocks thrown by that crab boss because they're all slippery and wet. Some rockets are hidden under vegetables because many young toads were told they needed to eat such things frequently if their life goals involved being smart enough for space travel related work. Bullet-filled ballistics generally involve avoiding obstacles such as walls, while spigot pellets, on the other hand, tend to crash into things. The creature's inability to aim around things may simply stem from a lack of good vision. Wart's the only boss that doesn't remotely sound like somebody from Team Mushroom. This is probably because everybody's mouth is blocked while wearing the frog suit, thus making their voices unrecognizable. Seeing as such situations were likely Mario and Co.'s only experience with anything remotely resembling conversing with frogs, it makes sense for that to be their sole inspiration for imagining Wart's speech. Phantos are all over Wart's wall because the whole palace he's in is his most treasured possession. Those bubbles that make the bosses more powerful are just strength-enhancing spells belched out by Wart. Mario and company finally stopped confusing Birdo and Ostro by the time of this Subcon Safari because of all those sporting events they recently competed in alongside her. All things are a bit brighter in advance because everyone on Team Mushroom was looking forward to vacationing in some sort of tropical resort right before their latest Subcon trip interrupted them. Maybe they even all fell asleep on the plane. Luigi wasn't in sunshine because he was watching The House or whatever. The Bob-Omb's explosions don't generate large flashes anymore in advance. This is likely because everybody dreamed of having cool sunglasses like Mouser. These eye enclosure enhancement equipment envy emissions were countered by the Mouse Man himself, who always greatly desires nobody looking as suave as him. Hence the natural brightness just getting toned down instead. The Yoshi Challenge is most likely the result of everybody's favorite Dino Dragon missing them all while they are away on their tropical vacation. None of his species possess the magical strength needed to fully project themselves into Subcon because they spend all of their leftover mystical energy helping with healing injuries that arose from getting rode on and subsequently sacrificed for increased jump height. In advance, Toad runs extra fast while carrying things because his species' butler life-enjoying member who's going on that one trip with everybody longs for a day when delivering the princess her morning paper late would be physically impossible. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.